Hey, do you like fake data? Me neither. In fact, we're going to talk today about GPT-3, 14 ways that AI can help or can hurt. And we're going to do a quick review of Dave Kellogg's biggest 2020 predictions, hits and misses. And we're also going to talk about 2021. Welcome to the top 5 Data AI Analytics post of the week. This is the 76th edition of the Data-Driven Carcast, the weekend update where I review, highlight, and recap for you what's hot and what's not in the world of data. Now, if you like this, be sure to comment, like, share, abuse this content. And as always, you know this by now, by going to the blog down here and scrolling all the way down to the bottom, you will get access to a great slide deck with all the references and the links that you need in order to make you look smart. And so if you share it with your friends, to make them look smart as well. But you're probably wondering, why am I posting this on a Saturday? Typically, I post on Sundays. Well, that's because today is a very, very important day. It's National Croissant Day. And since we're talking about fake information and fake data, I want to help you on this oh so important cultural day here. If you live in America and you go to a bakery, you might be presented with this as a croissant day. Well, be warned, because this is not a croissant. This is a pain au chocolat. This right here on the other side is a croissant. So this is important for you to know, because pain au chocolat and croissant are very, very different pastries, and it's important for French people like me. So remember, a croissant looks like a crescent. And if you don't believe me, look it up online. Be careful though when you search Project Croissant, because you might find a video of a launch I was involved in 10 years ago at Microsoft called Project Croissant, and I confused the name into croissant and croissant. Hopefully this is a video you can watch, make fun of me and how I didn't get the whole point of the launch. So there, you didn't think I could bring French pastry and data together. Well, there you go, we did it. And if you even look further into the croissant, it's actually not a French invention. It's a very famous French pastry, but it was not invented by the French. But just like soccer, if you're a soccer fan like I am, we always like to say in France, we might not have invented it, but we perfected it. We are the world champion. There you go. So before I make more enemies on the soccer scene, let's get right to the data updates. And the second highlight of the week is a wonderful podcast by our friends from Andreessen Horowitz on GPT-3, and Frank, the partner there, breaks down really in a very useful way the introduction of the OpenAI new AI API, Dall-E. So Dall-E is a pun on Dall-E, the famous painter. Dall-E is basically uses deep neural networks to generate images based on a text input. And so the demos online that you'll find about this have been really entertaining this month. It was just introduced earlier this month, but I found the podcast from Frank and the team there is most useful, because not only does he break down the technology itself, he talks about the impact of it in simple terms and also discusses its applicability in the technology world. So for instance, you can imagine that you would auto-generate mock-ups for your house or maybe for your car. And I can also imagine this would be very useful in the healthcare industry and many other industries as well. So this technology is interesting. Also, in the topic of machine-generated data, I will invite you to take a look at a couple more posts that I shared this week. One on a UK project that uses AI to summarize historical information. I call it the get gist function. Basically, just give me the gist of this long historical text. You know, what do I need to know about this? And also another project on the back of a project and research at the University of Berkeley here on AI training itself and finding its own curriculum. Lots of AI news this past week. Take a look at these summaries. And if you want to know more and you're a CIO and you want to understand how all of this relates to the enterprise applicability of AI, I suggest that you follow Svetlana Sigler at Gartner. She's written a lot about this, and I'm sure you'll benefit a lot from her work. All right, so that's for data created by machines, if you will. And so if you're looking at this trend, you're wondering, where is this going to be good and where is this going to get bad? I want to point you to a great resource that Bob Hayes shared this week, a Forbes article on the 14 ways AI can hurt and AI can help. You'll find the expected trends there: efficiency, automation, and things you might have heard about before, but you also find interesting interpretations on AI elevating the condition of mankind, or AI helping, extending, or expending creativity. I'll let you take a look at this Forbes article. I thought it was entertaining to read, and certainly I'll make sure that I tag the people that contributed to these trends, so you can connect with them. If you've got more questions, you can reach out to them. A lot happened this week, in fact, in the world of data, AI, and analytics. In general, January is a fairly busy month because people go back and there's two key events happening. One, there's CES, and this past week, Davos was going on. Now, the great news this year is all the content is available online. So if you could not participate to these events previously, you're now going to get access to all the great sessions and so forth. And there's a lot of sessions there. And if you don't have time to go through all these sessions, what I'd like to suggest is watch the conversation that Bernard Marr and I had yesterday on these topics. We did a LinkedIn Live, and we tried to summarize kind of what was hot and what was not throughout the month. And also across these two events, we talked about flying cars, and we talked about the new AI alliance there. And I'm hoping that me sharing this content with you on Saturday gives you more time to go and take a look at these posts, maybe on Sunday before your week starts. Now, speaking about your opinion, I've been starting now to share surveys across the community and have gotten really good response. And so this week, I want to share with you Prashant's question du jour, if you will, if I continue with my French analogy. And he wants to know, if you're in the business world and you're in the startup world or an entrepreneur, he wants to know, what is the most important metric, business metric for you? He gives you a few options: net profit margin, cash conversion cycle, net profit, net working capital, and churn, customer churn rate. Now, of course, I gave him my answer, but I was very tempted to say none of the above. My startup experience have taught me that, there's really one metric that matters the most is revenue. And we had this great acronym at one of my startups. We used the RCA, revenue cures all. And I'm sure if you're a startup entrepreneur, you'll relate to that. But nonetheless, take a look at the survey. He's gotten hundreds of responses, and so it's a great way to engage with the community and give him your opinion. Maybe there's a metric he's not thinking about. Now, thinking about the expert in SaaS metrics, and I tagged him on this survey, is Dave Kellogg. If you're not following him or following his blog, you are missing out big time, because Dave is very well known in the industry and shares a lot of insights he's learned over the years. He was a CMO and CEO multiple times. And this week, like he does just about every year at this time of the year, he takes a look at the predictions from the year prior and gives himself a score. This year, I think he hit 7 out of the 10 predictions he wrote about last year, so it's pretty good hit rate. And so I would suggest that you block 20 minutes to take a look at this blog. Dave is very thorough in his analysis. There's quite a few links in the blog itself, and he reviews things that if you're part of my community, you'll be really interested in reading about. One is database proliferation trends. He predicts the rebirth of EPM. This one, I have a hard time following him on that one, but he tends to be always right, so he made me think about it. And he also talked about data intelligence, or DIs. It's defined by the good folks at IDC. He says that data intelligence actually will happen in 2021. He also acknowledges the fact that there's a lot of confusion in the space. ETL, ELT, data prep, what is data ops, and why is there 5 different definitions of data governance? And he makes you feel better, I think. If you read the blog, it's very well written. He says if you're feeling confused, you're not alone. In fact, he uses a quote from Edward Murrow that says, anyone who isn't confused really doesn't understand the situation. So take a look at this blog. I think it's a great one to read over the weekend, if you can block some time, and then comment and let him know what you think about his predictions for 2020 and his upcoming predictions for 2021. That's it for this week. I want to thank you for your engagement, the comments, and the direct messages. They mean a lot to me, so stay engaged, be data-driven, and I will see you next week.